good, YouTube? It's your boy Matt, a Pickin' Matt here. So, the sneak peek weekend is over, and this shit was wild. The sets honestly didn't have a lot of very good pulls in my area. I guess minus one particular location that seemed kind of fishy. And cards went flying everywhere. And on Saturday, I pulled very, very well. But sadly, today on Sunday, I didn't pull Jack Diddley Dick. But with the local I was at, they let you use sneak peek cards, so I got a fun, updated kind of take on a deck that I've played in the past for you guys today. So let's quit with the BS and show you guys this pretty dope concoction that I made today. Alright, so as you can see before you people, during my sneak peek, I managed to pull an Exosister Martha. The issue is I was only able to pull a singular copy of her, so I couldn't play a pure version of Exosisters this weekend, but that didn't stop me, because I'm excited to play this deck. And since I only had the one Martha, and I managed to get these one cards that I will show you over the course of this deck profile, I decided to play a very interesting take on Exosisters. So, I'm just going to quickly blaze through the deck. There is a profile where I explain some of the older cards more in depth, and you guys can see that on this channel if you want. But for now, I'll just explain newer cards and things that are pertinent. So to start out, like I told you, I was only able to get the singular copy of Exosister Martha all weekend. This card is insane and makes it where you can play a pure version of the deck, because so long as you haven't done any special summons that aren't Exosisters, and you either control no monsters or all the monsters you control are Exceed monsters, you could special summon her and a copy of Ellis from your deck, or her from your hand and Ellis from your deck. Opens up a host of Exceed plays and is absolutely the best extender this deck could have asked for. This isn't a pure build, so you can get away with running one, but you definitely want to get multiple copies of this card for future builds, and she was absolutely insane. Absolutely love this card. Alright. Oh, and then of course the 3 copies of Ellis, because you need her for the name, and she's the second best extender, because inherently everything in this deck is a 2-card combo. I also opted to max out on 3 copies of Stella. This card is really good. Probably going to keep maxing out on her because she works with Ellis as well. Just 2 copies of Sophia and the singular Irene. This ratio is pretty correct for the most part. Nothing I think I would change. Sophia, still really good card. I probably would advise playing multiples of her, especially in pure. Alright. You see this playmat before you is kind of a weird choice for this deck profile. Why? Well, because after doing some digging in the Exosister group, I saw a guy playing this, and I just had to test it, and for the most part, it worked really well. And that is, I played a Poker Night package. Yes, the Poker Knights. The 2 king, 2 queen. I opted to run the singular Jack, which you'll see why here in a second. But this engine was really fun and interesting, and they have a really cool card that I'll discuss later. 1 copy of Imperial Bower. This guy's just a rescue rabbit. That's it. Never saw him once today. And 2 copies of Joker's Knight. This card's really cool. You can send King, Queen, or Jack, special summon him from your hand, and then his name becomes that. In one game, I used this effect, made his name become Queen, normal summon King, special to Jack, and was able to make a Pallades. Pretty cool. Next up, 3 copies of Dinotherium. In the future, this will probably get cut, but in this version of the deck, he's just there to act as, you know, more gas. I love this card, so I'm going to keep playing him until he's not useful. Right. And the last monsters are just 3 Ash Blossom and 3 Nibiru. This card was kind of mid, but when it hits, it hits. Not sure I'll be playing it come Splight and Teararlament getting more, into circulation, But for now, my local area does have enough decks that this hits to where I just wanted to have it. And Ash Blossom is Ash Blossom. I did play against Espia, and it absolutely ruined their life. So, still the best hand card. Alright, for the spells, triple packs, and 3 copies of this card, Joker's Knight. This is the reason you play the Poker Night stuff. I'll probably explain it more in combo videos, but essentially what this does is it specials a queen from your deck, then you get to add king, and then you get to normal summon king via this effect. And during the end phase of the turn, you can target a light warrior, shuffle it into your deck, and then add this card from your graveyard to your hand. When you use this effect, you're locked into light warriors from the extra deck. That doesn't matter because all the cards you're going to make are light warrior. This card is insane. Like, legit, very well designed card. I teched in the Utopia double package, and I am not going to play this in future references or future builds. And 1 Called by the Grave, and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, as well as 3 copies of Triple Technical Talents. This card was okay. Sometimes it did stuff, other times it didn't. It's pretty much only really good if you're losing, and that's about it. But I'm still not 100% sure if I want to cut it or not. The Duster is just for mine out, and Called by is, Called by. Alright. And for the purple cards, 2 copies of the new card, Exosister Returnia. Basically, when you control an Exosister monster, it karma cuts. And then afterwards, you get 1 of 2 effects. You either get to exceed summon an Exosister, or if you already exceeded that turn, you just banish an additional card. Super good, usually what I search when I'm setting up my first turn board. And then the singular copy of Exosister Vadish. In a pure build, you want to play multiples of this, but in this one, I just opted for the singular copy. It was okay. And then 1 copy of Joker's Wild. Basically, this is just a 4th copy of Joker's Straight, and it's the perfect discard for Joker's Straight because it also has the effect that you can shuffle a Light Warrior into your deck, then add this from your graveyard to your hand. Really good card. And the last trap card is just 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Pretty simple card. Alright, so for the extra deck, nothing too much to explain, no new cards. Triple Mikalis, 2 Caspit Tail. This card is significantly better with Martha, because you could just search Martha, make Mikalis, and then instantly go into the big girl, which we'll explain in a minute. And then her effect to not allow your opponent summoning from the graveyard is really, really good. As well as this card, 2 copies of Astophiel. It's an Abyss Dweller. It's a really fantastic card. Highly recommend playing 2 copies. And for the rank 4 Exosisters, the last one is just 1 copy of Jabroni. I just have her in there for variety's sake. I think she's like an Infinite Impermanence or something. And then, of course, you just play 2 copies of the in-theme boss monster, Magnifica. Yeah, this card's fantastic and pretty much what you want to end your first turn on. Alright. And of course, I explained the Utopia double package. I'm not playing this again because drawing the brick is that bad. But he is a light warrior, so you could still technically do it if you Joker straight people. Singular copy of Evilswarm Exciton Knight, Constellar Pallades, and Divine Arsenal Double Azus. They're all light. This is basically like this, but you don't have to attack for the turn. Pallades is just there. Why I teched in the level 5 guys. I just wanted to try it. He was okay. But you probably don't have to play it in the future. And Divine Arsenal Double Azus is pretty, common sense. And again, every card in your extra deck is a light monster for a reason that we'll get to here shortly. Alright, side deck kind of sucked. But play 2 token collectors because he's a level 4 and Sword Soul exists in my local area. I just wanted 2 copies of Droll just for variety hand trap with this. 2 copies of Godarla because he's the Wind Kaiju, so just wanted that. 3 copies of Cyclone, 3 copies of Evenly Matched, and then 3 copies of Ghost Match. In a more pure build, I would advise probably main decking this card, but with the way the format kind of was for this tournament, where there wasn't really enough Splight to get around and have people have a build ready, and all that other jazz, this card wasn't completely necessary, and I played against like Despia and stuff, so this card just kind of would have been absolutely mediocre to have main decked against that. But that's it. That's the main extra inside. I might go over a combo or two here shortly. I just got to get the setup going, and then I'll finish this video out after that. Alright people, I'm going to show you just kind of an Exosister 101 combo with the two least ideal Exosisters to really have. Like essentially you want an Exosister that's an extender, that's why I max out on Stella. You can do the same play with Elise, but just for the purposes of this explanation, I'm just going to use her. Alright, so you normal your Stella, use her effect, you special summon your other Exosister monster. In this case we're just going with Irene. You then overlay into Caspatel. Now technically for the turn, nobody can special summon from the graveyard because you used an Exosister to summon her. Just remember that. Alright. So from here you Caspatel and you search Martha. Sorry there's a glare on the graveyard. I can't really fix that with the way my setup is. Alright. So from here you use Martha. You summon herself from your hand because you control an Exceed monster. And everything you've specialed this turn is all Exosisters. You special Ellis from deck. You then proceed to take Martha and Ellis, and then you turn them into Mikalis. And then from here you can use Mikalis's effect to detach to add a copy of Returnia from your deck to your hand. And then from here you can turn Caspatel and Mikalis into your Exosister Magnifica. So what's so good about this board? Well, just in general, Magnifica, as a quick effect, can banish a card your opponent controls. And then, depending on what you detach, if you kept the Mikalis underneath her, as a response to one of their cards, you can tag her into the Mikalis and have another banish, or you could turn off special summoning from the graveyard for the turn. You just kind of got to figure that part out yourself. But that's 2 interrupts on one card. And then Returnia here has the effect that since you control her, or Mikalis if you did that, or whatever, it can banish a card on their field. And then, since you most likely would activate this after using her effect, since you Exceed summon this turn, you can in fact banish an additional card. And on top of that, if you so chose to, instead of banishing a card, you could turn a used up Mikalis into a Brone, a Stoffel, or a Caspatel for the purposes of whatever thing you need, whether you need an imperm, turning off their graveyard, or not letting them special summon from grave. You just kind of got to look and assess, because essentially this is a stun strategy. And off of 2 cards, as you see, because of Martha and how she works, you can kind of, for a low investment, have a pretty good stun board. So let's kind of show you guys an idea of what the poker dice can do. Alright, so let's say you have a hand where you drew no Exosisters, but you got the Joker's straight package. And for the purpose of this, I just picked 2 random cards that are irrelevant and just a monster. In this case, I'm just going to go with Dinotherium here. So, here's the neat thing about Joker's straight. It's essentially 2 free bodies, because you activate it, you discard your card. In this case, we're just going to go with Joker's Wild. And then you can get a queen from the deck, and then king. And then afterwards, it lets you normal. You normal the king. In this instance, I won't use his effect, but I'll show you a combo that uses his effect here shortly. So, you then have 2 level 4 monsters that you can then overlay into Hospital. In this instance, looking at the hand makeup, you can detach a material, then just add an Exosister. In this case, I'm just going to add Ellis, because I'm just not going to use the normal summon with the way this works. Or if I absolutely had to, I could always just normal summon Dinotherium. But, because you control an Exosister, special summon, then special summon Dinotherium. In this instance, for whatever reason, if they let you special summon a level 4 from your graveyard, that's dumb. So nobody will ever do that. Alright, so then you just, like the last turn, you turn Dinotherium and your Exosister into your Michaelis. You can use the Michaelis, detach, add the trap card, or packs, or whatever, depending on your hand makeup. This is just kind of a simplified version of an idea of why these cards are good. And you can turn those into your Magnifica, because all of these cards are light warriors. You weren't locked at all this whole time. You set the Returnia, and then you can enter your end phase, wherein the secondary effect of both of these cards trigger, where you could shuffle back light warriors into your deck to then put these cards into your hand, essentially wasting no resources, and the whole process of doing this combo, which is really good. Okay, so let's take that same hand we just played and add a singular card in the form of Joker's Knight here. So what can you do? Well, like before, you play the straight, discard your card, special the queen, normal the king, in this case actually use the king's effect, get the jack. Alright, that's cool. Well, what does that accomplish? Well, you can then use Joker Knight's special ability to send a queen, to special summon him from your hand. Alright, and then at this point, what you can do is just overlay these two into the homie Constellar Pallades, and then repeat the same combo from the last one. You know, you get your Ellis, use your normal, get your Michaelis. And then, of course, you use the Michaelis to get the Returnia. You then set the Returnia, and then, of course, you turn these two into your copy of Magnifica. So basically, you get an extra form of an interrupt. And then, of course, during the end step, you want to always shuffle a queen for sure, or the Joker straight, because you want her in deck to be able to be live. And in this play right here for the Joker's Wild, you probably would want to shuffle your other copy queen. And then on top of that, if for whatever reason you use the Pallades in the turn, and you happen to have Joker's Knight here, he also has a neat effect where he can shuffle one of these guys into the deck to add him from your graveyard to your hand. So you can reload these cards pretty nicely. And also, if you were to go back a play, this fifth card basically, when you're doing your add via Caspitel, if this fifth card was usually a Stella, most of the time I would actually add Sophia, use my regular normal on Stella, and then see what I can get off the Sophia, whether it's a hand trap or something, to then just kind of play out the turn a little differently from there. But essentially that's why I decided to try out the Joker's Knight, because I just wanted to see or have extra combo potential to have a cooler board with some neater cards. Alright, before I round this off, I'm just going to do a quick test hand for you guys because, well, I think it'd just be funny for you guys to see just how bad I can draw. So let's shuffle it up, present it for the opponent to cut, and draw our hand and see what board we can make. Alright, so hand trap, Returnia, Talents, Stella, Martha. Alright, we can do something with this. Start out, of course, you Martha. Martha, get you your copy of Ellis. Alright, shuffle on up. Alright, and then from here, I'm going to lay this out right here. Turn Martha and Ellis into a copy of Caspitel. I'm going to then use Caspitel's effect to detach the Martha, and I'm just going to add, because I drew Stella, a copy of Sophia. Alright. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Opponent cuts deck. Cool. Alright. I'm going to use my normal summon Stella, use her effect, special Sophia. If they hand trap the Stella in this instance, you just kind of leave her on board because you have a Returnia. So if they interact with their graveyard, you could just quick exceed her into something. Wow, that clear's super bad, but whatever. Oh, alright, so from this point, I'm going to use her effect to draw a card. Oh, okay. And then overlay these two into Mikalis. I will then use Mikalis' effect to detach. Now, since I already got the Returnia, and this hand is just going to play out into a board that can just do anything, I think what I will actually do, just for lulz, is add a copy of Pax. And then from here you have a couple of options. You can either set the Pax, set the Returnia, you know, just to kind of have a +1 on the opponent's turn, and you have multiple names in graveyard, so you can kind of do stuff from there. But in this case, I'm going to get silly. I'm going to activate this Pax because I specifically detached the Sophia. I will then get my girl, come on Irene, and then Irene here, because Sophia is in graveyard, will get special summoned via this Pax. So let's kind of course correct our hand a bit, see if we can get another interactive card. Also, the other reason I'd probably just go in this hard is because I have the triple tactical talents to basically draw more cards. So I'm going to use Irene, put the hard draw in Exosister, draw Joker's Knight. Maybe that'll be good next turn depending on my next draw. But from here, probably just turn these two into the Magnifica, set the Returnia, and pass. Alright, so from here, of course, you got your Banish. This can exceed into any of them, or this card can force her to turn into any of them. So that's pretty good. And then if it goes over to your next turn, an imperm. So yeah, there's a test hand for you. There you have it, folks. My updated Exosister deck profile. Now, of course, there will be changes in the future as soon as I can get more copies of this card. But as of right now, this is a very fun variation to get a spin on. I very much enjoyed playing this today. It did me very well. If you were curious, I managed to get, it was a 30-person local, and I got 7th place. I didn't lose any games, which was cool, but I still ended up with some draws on my record, which was really awkward. But technically it's undefeated, so that's better than nothing, especially for a thought experiment. Close out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I figured the lengthier runtime should be good to help because it kind of needs some of the extra combo ideas to show you guys exactly what this deck can do. But yeah, If you like what you see, make sure to comment down below anything that you'd recommend for future variations on this deck, or what's your thoughts and whatever. And you know, all that jazz is more than appreciated. Otherwise, this is Meh, Pig and Meh, signing out.